Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we're getting to some more Twice with TWICETAGRAM album part 1. Because it's a whole album, right? There's a lot of songs. I'm gonna break it down into 3 parts. So it's gonna be like 4 songs for each part. Just for the sake of my own sanity, having to record these and edit them, I'm just gonna assume that they're gonna be a long video. I won't know until I get to the end of this. You have a better idea than I do about how long we're going to be here for this album, but that's how I'm going to be breaking it up. So it's going to take a little bit for all of the parts to come out, but it's for my own sanity of having to get these videos out. And for the sake of my poor editing program that is already getting mad at me. I keep getting little pop-ups that are like, hey, if you split up a really long file, this will work better. So I make long videos, okay? But that's how we're gonna split it up. And I'm super excited to have so many songs. There's so many songs on this album, and so many people have been asking for this album specifically for me to check it out and make videos about it. So I'm excited for what it has in store for me. So let's just get into the songs. First off, we have Turtle. I have no idea what to do with that. I don't know what that's gonna mean. I feel like there are so many times with Twice songs where I read the title and I either know part of the song because it's one of their singles and ones that I ended up hearing lots of clips of, or it's something like Turtle and I'm like, that could mean anything. They always subvert whatever my thought pattern was. Like Jelly. Love that song, but I would have not have guessed what that song was about until I listened to it. So, oh, what is Mina doing in this picture though? Ma'am, no. Unnecessary. All right, let's see what they got for us. Oh. Same. I was expecting acoustic guitar.
처음엔 아무 느낌 없었는데 매일 티격대면서 우리 싫지는 않았나 봐. 가끔 빤히 나를 바라볼 때면 어색해질까 봐 괜히 단청만 부렸어. 네가 나를 좋아하는 거 다 알아. 근데 그거 알아? 나보다 내가 너를 좀 더 좋아하는 것 같아. I mean 내 맘이 너보다 앞서가. Oh no, oh no, oh no. 항상
Ooh, okay, before we get into the chorus, I was not expecting a little acoustic guitar, a little sweet, almost ballad kind of feeling, especially early on in the album. I feel like usually we get to some more acoustic pulled back numbers later on in the albums. Near the end, maybe in like the middle is like a little like reset because usually there's like a buildup of energy. But I wasn't expecting us to go from like Likey and the energy of that song and then immediately into something acoustic, listening to the album as a whole, right? Interesting. Voices all sound fantastic as always. I love that we got some Tsui. Yes, okay. I'm always excited for some Tsui vocals. Seems okay, maybe Turtle is hiding away, right? Turtle's hiding in their shell and using this as a protection. So maybe that's what we're getting at because it's talking about my heart goes faster than yours. Almost like I'm falling more than you are. Like I'm more attached than you are. Talking about how we used to argue, but I guess we didn't, like we don't hate anything. It's like at first I didn't feel anything. Like there used to be this different dynamic between us and now I'm feeling something different and I feel like you are not. So hiding in your shell, like hiding in what is expected because you don't know how the other person is going to react. Like I'm afraid things will be awkward. Like if you figure out how I'm feeling, then it's going to make things awkward and trying to pull away from that situation, maybe. Ooh, it picks up though. Oh, slow, Turtle. Like tortoise in the hair. Okay, Turtle like slower. When we have my heart beats faster, I'm moving at a faster clip than you are. Like I'm developing feelings or changing the way that I feel a lot faster than you are. And the other person is the turtle and you're just trying to coax them out. I love the little bang bang, the onomatopoeia in it is really cute, but also the idea of my heart grows like a balloon. I'm afraid it'll burst. You're afraid that you feel so many things and if you don't have an outlet for all of that, that it's going to, I don't know, burst, pop. It's going to affect you negatively. Oh, this is so sweet though. though. I love it sonically. It's just such a sweet with the guitars coming, the acoustic. I love that we had this almost, I don't know what the technical term of it is, but when you hit the strings with your thumb when you're plucking, finger plucking, and it adds this certain percussion to the way that you're strumming a guitar. I love having that in there just to add a little more bounce to it. Oh, it's so sweet though. I love it.
내가 너무 앞섰던 걸까 조급해지면 나 괜한 투정을 부려 좋아하는 거 다 알아 근데 그거 알아 너보다 내가 너를 좀 더 좋아하는 것 같아 I mean 내 맘이 너보다 앞서가 Oh no 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 항상
Oh, I love that ride, that like swell in the always as well. Oh, this song is so sweet sounding. I love all the other little elements coming in. We had part of where Mina was singing, where there was like almost these pauses in the production, which felt like this saying, am I too forward? Having that stuttering of, oh no, am I overstepping? Am I going too fast? Am I pushing at a boundary that I shouldn't be? So having the production pullback is almost this vulnerability, this hesitation, literally in the production, going along with the lines. I like the just looking more handsome. I have all these feelings. I don't know if I should say them or if I should keep them to myself, but at the same time, I keep getting frustrated because you didn't call me, but you don't know that you should be calling me more because you don't know how I feel, or do you know how I feel? Like all this weird in between of wanting to give someone their space, wanting to respect that there may be a boundary there, right? There may be that this person does not feel the same way, and therefore you don't want to overstep and make them uncomfortable, make things awkward. It may be that they are developing feelings and they're just not ready to do anything about them, come forward with that, talk about those yet, and you have to respect that. So it's this weird acknowledgement of I feel this way and I want you to know that I feel this way, but at the same time, no pressure, and you're allowed to move at your own pace, and I respect you, right? It's this strange mixture of those two feelings. And I love Jio's voice in general, but specifically on this part, the tone that she's putting into it and just the way that it contrasts with some of the others, the layered vocals on it too are just really sweet. And aw, I'm in love with this song in a way that I can't describe. It just feels cozy and I love that. The I'll wait for you. Oh. Ooh, good little vocal run there. Oh, I loved that. It was so sweet. It felt so cozy. It had such an adorable little bounce to it with the acoustics and percussion in it. I love their vocal delivery where they had some brighter, poppier sounds, but definitely a little bit more subdued in their vocal delivery, especially compared to like Likey, right? Which was a very deliberately poppy, bright sound to the way that they were doing their vocals. And in this one, it's like a little bit more subdued because it is like this almost like giddiness of having feelings and feeling a certain certain way, but that at the same time, understanding that someone else is going to develop their feelings or acknowledge their feelings or progress in any kind of relationship, whether or not it's romantic, platonic, whatever. Everyone goes at their own pace, and acknowledging that's okay and being like, I'm a little impatient and I wish you would hurry up, but at the same time, I'll wait because you're allowed to move at your own pace. And I acknowledge that I'm a few steps ahead of you, but I'm gonna wait and make sure that you're by my side with this and that we don't overstep anything. And it's such a sweet sentiment. At the same time, it has that longing for someone else to feel the same way about you, or to be able to confess how you feel, or to build something more with somebody. They said that we have so much to do, wanting to develop that relationship, but at the same time having this very sincere sweetness of people move at their own pace, people acknowledge how they feel in their own time, and you can't force somebody into something, so you have to just be patient. If it's worth it, if you feel as strongly as you claim to for that person, then it's worth it to let them have their space and let them make their own decisions. And it's just so cute. I loved it so much. I wasn't expecting to have a song right off the bat that was that pulled back and sweet, and already am in love with this album. That bodes well for everything else, but oh. Okay, missing you makes me a little nervous, because that's a little more straightforward with the name. Who are we missing? Why are we missing them? Are you gonna get me in my feelings right off the bat? Because we've already taken a turn. I wasn't expecting sonically what Turtle was. So now I'm like, what's the narrative of this? Oh, we have more acoustic. Cool vocal effect though. No. You can't have Dahyun saying my everything in that voice and then have Jio saying baby. No, ma'am. No, you can't. Not for this poor one's just trying to survive out here. But this, again, like more like acoustic guitar, we're pulled back. I think that's so interesting. Like, not just to open up an album. I feel like that is not the kind of formula that we have for a lot of K-pop albums, right? Usually if we're going to get something acoustic, it's going to be closer to the end of the album or somewhere like in the middle. If you have a longer album like this, it's not going to be right at the beginning, where usually a lot of the more high energy, catchy, more poppy songs are going to be like the ones where you're going to get stage performances and special performance videos, and stuff is going to be like released later on that are usually those like first few songs are the ones that they do at like different like weekly shows and stuff like that. So you usually don't get acoustics close up at the beginning of an album, because that's not really the performance that you go for with a K-pop group. So that's already going off of formula, considering what Likey was about, right? Which was about this like back and forth of both the trials of being an idol and also loving being an idol, right? This back and forth of them being like, they legitimately love being idols, they love being performers, but at the same time acknowledging, saying there's also lots of other stuff that comes along with it. It's difficult to be thinking so much about how you physically look, right? Wanting to look pretty on social media, but also acknowledging that there's like pressures and stressors that go with that. Enjoying being up on stage and performing these bright, exciting, happy songs, but that's a difficult thing to do when you're having a bad time, right? Like when you're having a bad day, when you're upset, it's difficult to give up spending time with your friends and family because you have a busy schedule, right? The back and forth of that, because you're going around touring or doing live shows, you're not at home with your family and your friends. This constant like back and forth of acknowledging that there are layers to being an idol, and it's not all the shiny, perfected exterior that they may present to you through their music videos, through their social media. There's lots of other stuff going on that comes along with the package. So having this album start with songs that go against that normal K-pop formula, that normal setup of an album, is so interesting to me. I also love how I think they're like palm muting the acoustic guitar in this too, having these sharp cutoffs. There's a bit of a muted sound to the plucking of the strings anyway, which I think is just interesting. I'm already in love with this album. We're 2 songs and 30 seconds into another one. Oh dear, I understand. I get it. We're only this far in, and I'm like, I understand why so many people have wanted me to get to this album. I get it. I love that cadence too. Ooh. Some electric guitar? Gorgeous vocal before Mina comes in and steals my heart. Gorgeous vocals in there. Interesting like layers of all the instrumentation. I also think it's really interesting to have the where did you go and what was the line that was about you left me here. Just in the previous song, Turtle, it was about I'll wait for you. I want us to end up at the same place even though we're moving at a different speed. I want us to end off side by side, right? To then have this song where it's talking about being left behind. Where did you go? This disconnect between them and the person that they care about. Ooh, this album. Okay, they stepped up. I've loved all the music before this, but there's something else happening here. And I don't know if I could fully put it into words, but dang girls, okay. Beautiful. Ooh, bass coming in. Cute. Ooh, okay, no, that cadence that she had, and then the instrumentation pulling back, and it's just like the percussion, it sounds almost like a beat pad coming in. I'm gonna need a minute. Need a minute once I finish this album. Is this what it's like? Does it get better? Even if it's consistently like this, I'm gonna be like, dang, what happened? What shifted? Again, loved their earlier stuff. Adore their more recent comebacks. I listen to them like every day. I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to Ready to Be In with Youth. It's embarrassing how many times I've listened to those albums. Concerning, some may say. What happened here? What shifted? Because there has to be something, right? Is it just that they got a full album? I'm gonna need some time with this album after I finish it, just listening to it multiple times. Wait. Do it again, properly. So good. More of those instruments on the left. Don't do that to me, Taeyeon.
난 그게 싫어 여기까지란 말 아둥바둥 꿈이 거라고 다 믿을 수 없는 현실이는 날 잠에서 깨어 다시 안아줘 넌 내게 약속했었지 대책 없이 난 굳게 믿었어 바보같이 떠날 땐 양심의 가책 없이 그런 널 다시 보고 싶어 miss you baby.
No, stop saying baby. Specifically the rappers in the group. But I love that. I was like expecting us to get more into the like normal motion of the song, like the cadence of it, and they completely changed it with the rap line coming in, a much more like a lower in the register, more subdued vocal delivery. The production changed, having the vocalizations in the back as well. Dang. Also the like you left and felt no guilt, that's stone cold. Especially after how sweet the previous song was. Yeah, I'm gonna need a minute with this album after I'm done this. Ooh. Calm down with the ad-libs. Ooh, it bops though. Ooh. Oh, I loved that. I love all the production things that were going on. I feel like I gotta go back and deconstruct some of it more, but the mixture of more analog instruments and then electronic ones, whether it's acoustic guitar versus electric guitar, percussion being used with more analog, and then beat pads, right? The mixture of those two things is really interesting to me. Sonically, I think it also fits with some of the stuff they're talking about in the song about this disconnect between them and this other person, not just in terms of them not being together, but clearly wanting different things, right? Them being promised that they would stay around and then that not happening, not feeling guilty about it, still missing them despite knowing that they're not good for them or that they don't respect them or feel the same way. I think it's very interesting to have that disconnect after Turtle and that concept of them saying, hey, I know there's a disconnect here about me feeling more than you do, but I'll wait. I'll be patient, even though that's tricky for me, but I'm willing to wait so that we can be on the same page at some point. And then having this song where it's like, hey, if you don't feel the same way about me, then there's a better way to go about that. There's a nicer way to go about that. It's almost this realization of, oh, you weren't ever going to be on the same page as me because you didn't feel the same way, even though you made promises, even though you said certain things, even though you made me believe that there was going to be something more. We never actually connected in that way. Interesting. Ooh, this album is already getting me. And literally 3 songs in, if we count Likey. And Likey already made me go through a bit of a crisis because I was like, I understand the complexities of this song of both feeling like, I get it. I get that there's good and bad to the music industry as a whole, let alone K-pop. And that is not just for the people, the musicians, the performers, it's also for the fans. I feel like we've all felt that where we're like, you know that you're feeding into some things that you don't necessarily agree with, or that you know that there's like negativity or there's like bad things going on in the industry. And like, how do you use your power as a fan in an ethical way, in a moral way, in a way that matches with your beliefs? And this constant back and forth and blurred lines between being an ethical consumer and not being, and all of that. So I already had that crisis with Likey, and then now you're throwing me for a loop with Turtle and Missing You back to back of very different stories there, and even just sonically not what I was expecting. Okay, I get it. This album is different. Sure. All right, next song then. It could be anything now. Now we have Wow, which is where I'm at now. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling. This album has taken me for a wonderful ride so far that I was not expecting. And again, Wow could mean anything. Are we gonna get cutesy pop? Are we gonna get more acoustic flavored things? What are we gonna have? I don't know. It's an interesting sample. What is this album? I legitimately need to know the story. But there has to be something, right? It can't just be that it's their first full-length album. What happened? Do they have more writing credits? Are they working with a different production team, writing team? Did they just pick violence when they decided to make this album? What happened? I need an explanation, because this weird sample, but it's almost filtered an old-timey TV or radio or whatever. There's all these distortions on it as we transfer from one section to the next. There's like a bass line going through it, which also, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. I'm very glad that I split this album up now. Yeah, because I was like, I'm going to do it for my sanity in terms of having time to record and editing and all that. Now it's for my sanity because how could I do that many songs in close succession to each other when I'm going to need some time to process each one of these songs? Because why are they coming for me like this? Dang. I love Momo's voice there. Is there some brass coming through? No, just before we get to the chorus, now you get into the chorus with Junghyun. You know how I love her voice. They probably don't at this point. You know, we know. We had like brass coming through. I was already gonna say, look, oh, it's got like a little bit of a vintage feel to it, like classical pop feel, which I adore so much. And then we got the piano keys coming in that were super fun, and just like their delivery, like they've got their own like little bounce to the cadence, and they keep changing the like rhythm of the vocal melodies in the "you pop like carbonated water." That's so cute. That's like the idea of like having like butterflies in your stomach, but it's like this popping, crackling like energy, and that's such a cute image and line. And God, this album's good. What is this percussion? The vocals. Sana. For personal reasons, I'm gonna have to go back. No, you're not starting off the chorus with Junghyun and then going into Sana. Oh my god. And then Momo. And it does have a classical pop. Like, it feels like something that should be playing on like a jukebox, right? Did you make the song just for me? Was this song tailored just for me, like as a little present? Because I appreciate it. Oh no, I was like, I think Turtle might be my favorite. Loved it. This might be my favorite. This is only the beginning of the album. I think it's so interesting though to have a classic pop song on an album that is called TWICETAGRAM, like Instagram, social media references, and then to have like classical pop song that's just the jukebox. It feels like you should have your poodle skirt ready for this. It's so cute too. These synths are crazy too. Nacho referencing a romance anime. Again, was this song crafted specifically with me? I don't think so, but it feels personal. But this, like, why are you so hot? And then your personality is cool. The contrast of those two things, the hot and cold, I think not only is it hot and cold in terms of not really having a read on this person, of being like, do you feel what I'm feeling? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? But all of these like butterflies and like swinging emotions of how you feel about this person. So like hot and cold, those like two sides of it, and being like, I don't really want to have these feelings. I don't really want to have this crush or have butterflies in my stomach again. We've just had a song that's Missing You, right? Which was talking about someone promising things and making you believe that there was going to be more in your relationship, and then walking away and not feeling anything about it. And you're sat there being like, hang on, but I still have feelings. I still miss you. I know that this isn't something that's going to work out, and I don't even think I want it to work out. But at the same time, I still have these feelings and I don't know what to do with them. And then having this song where it's, I don't want to have a crush again. I don't want to have romantic feelings for someone again, because I've already had my heart broken. I've already had awful things happen because I gave my heart to someone. So it's like hot and cold of not really knowing how to feel, but also like hot and cold in terms of this other person, and like the contrast of those two things. I am in love. This song, Chef's Kiss. The vocal delivery is so much fun. Okay, the wind up, the vocal delivery is so much fun in this. They're having so much fun with just like the way that they're using their voice. Even there with Daeon Shu at the like last, oh my god, she like, oh my god, the bounce that they're putting into their vocals, they're having so much fun. There's parts where they're like talk singing, changing the like rhythm of their delivery. So much fun all around. The like wherever I go, it's like obvious. Like I don't even need to say what I'm feeling because everyone can see it, like being so giddy. It's almost like that, like when you first get a crush on someone and you just have all those electric feelings, right? Like you're carbonated in water, right? That image of just this butterflies and sparks and all of these giddy feelings that it's so obvious to everyone that your demeanor just instantly changes when you're around this person. Your energy changes when you're around them. And like the going back and forth like rapidly between different singers of what do I do? And I'm so in love with this. It's gonna be a problem. I'm going to annoy people with how much I play this song. Yeah. Ooh. The like echo effect. The pullback in the production. No. I feel like that song was like one of the best things that happened to me in a long time. The pure joy that I feel for that song. Okay, this is that kind of album. All right, I'm already in love. That song was so cute. They were having so much fun with it. I love the older, almost doo-wop feeling to some of it. Some of their delivery, the kind of fun way of delivering the vocals, some of the production in it. It almost had this hint of almost like Beach Boys feeling to it that I could hear this as a summer bop, right? Which always makes me think of an older pop song that has super summery vibes. I always go Beach Boys. And I'm so in love with it. Every single thing about it. Sana and Momo's little, oh my god, the best thing that could have happened to me today. Absolutely enamored. Love that it was just like fun and it was about that like giddy feeling of getting a crush on someone and not really knowing what to do with these feelings because it's just Twitter pated, right? It consumes your whole being when you're around that person and you're like, obviously you know. Because I can't be subtle about it. It's everyone is aware that this is how I feel about this person. So you must be aware of it. What do we do now? Right? Are you hiding that you feel the same way? Are you getting ready to tell me that you feel the same way? What's happening? It's so cute. And I love it so much. Is there a live? Is there choreo? I need to know all the things. We have one more song though. So I will hold off any of my feelings about declaring a favorite song yet. But this is a very good contender. Last song for today, FFW. Don't know what that means. Absolutely no idea. At this point, I'm just like, give me whatever you got. I have no predictions. Oh, fast forward. The little ooh in the back. These keys though. No, okay. We're gonna drop. Okay. Y'all are giving me a full-on bop at the end. Gotcha. See, this is the kind of vibe I was expecting for the second song on this album. And y'all hit it a little bit. You're like, we're gonna do a few other little experimental things. And then we're gonna get to it. Love it. Love the fast forward, especially since I started off this video with Turtle. I think that I unintentionally picked a great song to end on because we're already talking about moving too fast and leaving someone behind. We have to talk about other people moving on and leaving them behind. Interesting to have lots of that disconnect between people connect. And it's really interesting to me. We've had lots of that in terms of through a romantic lens with these songs. But I feel like it's also with Likey of there's a disconnect between who they actually are and who they are as idols. There's a disconnect between them them and their fans like a parasocial relationship. We don't know everything about them, and we shouldn't know everything about them, so we can't see them on stage performing cute upbeat songs like this and know whether or not they're having a good day. So there's all these interesting images of disconnect between people, which I find fascinating, with, again, TWICETAGRAM being the name of the album, and all of this connection with social media that is supposed to connect people. It's supposed to keep us in contact with other people, but it is a disconnected connect between people, right? There is a distance between us and the people that we're talking to when we have social media. It's just, I find it fascinating so much throughout this. But I also love the trading in sneakers for heels, switching from a bob to longer hair, this idea of growing up. Very interesting. Maybe that's part of why this album is hitting in a different way. Maybe that's part of the journey that they're going through as musicians, that this is them aging up. I talked about that a little bit with Likey. It felt a bit like this was them taking a step away from what their debut was like and aging up their music a little bit. I've seen more recent comebacks, so I know more of the result of that process, but obviously it was something that happened over time, and it feels like this album is them taking at least some step towards that. Obviously it's still very poppy, it's still very cute, it's still very like love crush centric in their music, but it's taking a step towards a more mature way of talking about those topics and presenting themselves as a group without this really stark like rebrand feeling to it, which I love. Having so much fun. This drop though is gonna come for me. Oh, what is this instrumentation that's happening? But like the idea of wanting to fast forward to be like, I want to go to the future where, you know, we've both said what we feel, we've both gotten to a point where we're like holding hands and we're already in a relationship, and getting to the point where it is already an established relationship, as opposed to going through the awkwardness of trying to, I don't know, confess your feelings or figure out how the other person feels or judge what's happening, right? Like, there's always awkwardness to the beginning of any kind of relationship, again, romantic or platonic, where you're just trying to get to know the other person. And yes, you have like, feelings, you may feel a certain way when you first meet someone, and you may develop a crush really fast, but there's one thing to have a crush on someone, it's another thing to actually develop a relationship. Like, a relationship takes actually knowing someone and connecting with them and having more of an unemotional attachment as opposed to just initial feelings. So I love the idea of, let's just fast forward to the part where we've already done all of the awkwardness, and we can just get to the part where we're already in a relationship and we can continue down that road. The production. Name drop. Ooh, okay, the way that the drop kicks in. But I think it's also interesting where they're talking about aging up. We've had before, it was like, just because I'm a girl, I don't know anything about love. I think it's also worth mentioning that it feels not just in terms of I want to fast forward to get past some of the awkwardness of the initial stages of relationship, but it could also be like, I want to fast forward in terms of them wanting to age up, right? I talked before about how this album feels a little bit about them taking the first steps in that, because obviously when they debuted, a lot younger, going for a younger concept, geared towards a younger audience. And for a lot of the time, for especially, I think K-pop groups in general, but I think more with girl groups, there tends to be this resistance to letting them age up to like their actual age, right? Like to be performing songs and have concepts that kind of link up with their age. And we can, I don't know if I want to unpack all of the reasons why that may be, because some of them are concerning and deserve a little bit more thought and time to actually talk about them in the way that they should be talked about. Why exactly we would want to keep girls looking younger in the music industry. But there's definitely this feeling of wanting to keep that demographic of a younger audience, right? Having a young girl group that can be marketed towards teenage girls is profitable in a lot of ways, right? And keeping that cutesy younger concept is something that I think that girl groups are a little bit slower to age out of or to rebrand from, if that's like where they started. Some girl groups don't start there, but if they did, it's a little bit trickier for them to get out of that. I've seen it with boy groups too, where they start off with a really cutesy young aesthetic, and then at a certain point they're like, oh, it does not fit for the group members anymore because the members are not young, they're not teenagers anymore. It also feels like this idea of I want to fast forward to the point where I'm not being seen as a girl anymore. I want to be seen as a woman instead. I want to be seen as someone who is actually of my age, as opposed to this younger, bubbly aesthetic that they've had up to this point, right? Let's change my baggy uniform for a fitted dress. It's not necessarily about let me impress a specific person. It's just I want to fast forward to actually be a representation of how I'm feeling and my actual age and how I have matured as a person. And I think for this group too, where there's like a bit of an age range from like oldest to youngest, that it must be a little bit tricky for that, because how do you represent the way that the older members have grown up while also acknowledging that there are younger members in the group, right? Sui was really young when the group debuted. So like, how do you find the balance between those concepts? Because ideally you don't want someone who's very young doing mature topics or having mature concepts, but you also don't want to have full-grown women doing like really cutesy childish concepts, right? So it's like finding the balance between those two things, and it feels a bit like they're touching on that a little bit, maybe. Dude, she says timing is so cute. I love the falling of that. Okay, pulling back on the production. Sana's voice though. The production in that was crazy. Also having a lot of fun with their delivery in that one as well. But there was this one where it talked about this line, the I'll be quiet and turn back time. Interesting, because we had fast forward, right? Like moving forward as opposed to turning back time, having this switch in what we're talking about. Almost this counter to this wanting to move forward in it. I think it goes back to what they were talking about in Turtle of there's some impatience and there's wanting to be taken seriously in this one. I feel like there's a lot of that, not just in terms of aging up, but also just being like, hey, I'm not naive. I know about love and the heart and having crushes and being in relationships. I'm not new to that feeling or to that concept, and at the same time being like, but I don't want to do too much. It's like this idea of pulling back on it a little bit to say, hey, yes, I want to fast forward in this relationship and know how you feel and know if we're going to be together and get that opportunity for us to be together and actually have a developed relationship. But at the same time, it's, do you want to move too fast? Do you want to skip all of the foundation of whether or not that relationship is going to be good for you, if it's going to work out? Also with just maturing, I feel like even the I know everything, I think we all thought we knew everything at some point. I can definitely think back to me at 18. I thought I knew everything. I did not. I had no idea, but I thought I did at the time. I thought I definitely knew what I was doing, only to be swiftly proven wrong at 19. By 19, I was like, oh no, I don't know. I don't know how to be an adult. What's being an adult? I'm not cut out for this. It has taken me a little bit to get to the point where I am now, where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know enough that I've made it this far, but I definitely don't have the same confidence that I did at a younger age. So I think that there's definitely this feeling of longing to grow up or to mature, but at the same time, knowing that you're like not quite there yet. And I think that comes off in the way that the lyrics are written, the delivery that they're having with their vocals, even just like the feeling of the song. I've heard more recent comebacks where they do have a more mature sound, where they are leaning more into the fact that they are like a group of full-grown women, right? So the maturity came with time and developing and just figuring themselves out instead of skipping over it. So it feels like there's a bit of this wanting to mature and at the same time showing this immaturity because you don't quite understand yet what growing up is, what maturing is. Bop though, an absolute bop. I feel like there are some complicated concepts in it though, especially in regards to female idols. I feel like there's some extra layers there of what female idols go through, especially if they have a more cutesy, younger concept when they start, which is fine, especially since a lot of them are very young and probably too young, and then getting to a point where they're not young anymore and what that means for them as a group, as the concepts they choose, how the company wants to manage them. I think there's definitely a larger conversation to that concept. And I don't think that they're really touching on that a whole lot in the forefront of this song, but I feel like it's definitely something they're touching on with this whole album of like social media and the perception of people that people have of them through the lens of a camera and social media and that filtered persona of them and how that doesn't always reflect what they're going through. So I feel like there's probably some more that they're digging into with this particular song, if not getting into quite as pointed as they did with the Likey lyrics, but an absolute bop to end off this particular part of the album reaction. Yeah, I understand why people wanted me to check out this album so bad. I understand why I've been hearing about it since I first started to react to Twice. And yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a bop. I'm only 5 songs in so far. WoW changed my life. I feel like I'm fundamentally a different person now that I've heard that song. I will hear it many times after this point. I'm gonna annoy people with how much I listen to the song. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem, an obsession, one might say. And just like even with that, the turtle was really good. Loved that. Loved Likey. I keep singing it and doing the little choreo that I haven't quite figured out yet, but love it. Bop. Love the other songs here too on this that I've heard so far. So many more songs on this album, and I do feel like there's just something different about it. It feels different from the albums that I've checked out that have come before this, right? I know I'm checking out their music a little bit out of order because I've listened to some of their more recent comebacks because I can't help myself. But compared to the albums that we've gone before this, the EPs, this album feels really different. And that was right from listening to Likey. I was like, this feels like we're doing something different with the group. We're maturing, and it seems like they're taking some first steps towards maturing the group in terms of their sound, the stuff they want to talk about, the concept, the aesthetic of it, even though Likey is leaning in to some of the pop stuff still because of it contrasting with the lyrical content and leaning into the overall idea of that song. But it does just feel like they're stepping into a more mature version of the group and dealing with some other concepts, and really great songs so far, and absolutely love it. If this is what we get for this album, if it stays like this, I'll be super, super happy. If it gets better, I will be absolutely floored, which I am here for. I'm here for all of the things. I'm a little bit taken for a loop though, a little bit. They did some things that I was not expecting, and I love that. I always love when groups do things out of pocket and surprise me, and Twice continues to do that, which is just amazing considering how much music they have and how long they've been in the business. That the fact that they continue to pull tricks out of their bag is super impressive to me. Loved it. I think I'm just gonna have to listen to WoW on repeat about 1,000 times just to get it out of my system, hyperfixation stuff. But really looking forward to checking out the rest of the album now. But good thing that I separated it, because I don't think my brain could take all those songs back to back, and I've already been recording for an hour at this point, so definitely gonna be a long reaction altogether, which I'm assuming you just expect from me at this point. I don't make short videos, but I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this place to go to my previous reaction, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next parts of this album, and I will see you in the next Twice reaction video. I don't know my intro now. I will see you in the next video. Bye.